Hey there YouTube, this is your YouTuber Ben Jones ASD here. What's up you guys? Today I am walking in the neighborhood in Sacramento, California, and today I want to tell you guys ASD stands for Autism Spectrum Disorder, and because the reason why I wrote Ben Jones ASD is actually because I have autism. I'm diagnosed with autism, and today I want to tell you guys my experience with my autism I had over the past few years, from my childhood to adulthood. Okay, sorry about that, folks. That was the sound of a loud diesel truck engine. So, that's very loud. I was diagnosed with autism when I was 2 years old. I'm 20 right now. So I had autism for 18 years. What's it like to be autistic? Well, autism is not a disease. It's a disability that affects a child or adult to be a human in a different way from other humans that are not on the autism spectrum disorder. Okay, what do kids with autism do? Well, they have a hard time communicating their needs, and that's the experience I had. For example, when my uncle used to own the Disney Pixar movie Toy Story on VHS, and I always liked that movie, so I wanted to keep it or borrow it from him, but I didn't know how to communicate to him about it. And that's what my autism is like. My autism, at a young age, when I was a toddler, it made it difficult for me to communicate to my uncle and my aunt that I wanted to borrow or keep their VHS movie, Toy Story. So, kids with autism are sometimes nonverbal, and it makes it difficult for them to speak their needs. And that's what I experienced as a toddler before. Let me think of what else I had of the experience with autism that I had. This is all I could think of. People with autism, especially kids, engage into repetitive behaviors. Like, for example, if I'm sitting in a car seat, I'd rock my body back and forth like this. I can also do that when I'm sitting in a chair, either at school or at church. Sorry guys, the train sound over there is too loud, so I'm gonna have to wait until the noise is lowered, the volume. Sorry about that, YouTubers. I can't control the noise of the passing cars or the trains, but I could put my voice right here and speak louder so that you can hear me better. I hope that helps. Okay. So where was I? Oh yeah, my experience with my autism as a kid, especially right now as an adult. I'm gonna go with my experience with autism as a kid right now. Repetitive behaviors in general would be like snapping fingers or wiggling your fingers closer to your face, which is something that I do even as an adult. Right now I still do it. Repetitive behaviors again would be like rocking your bodies back and forth when you're either sitting in a chair or if you're in a car seat or a bus seat. I sometimes do that in a bus seat before, or a car seat. I sometimes rock my bodies back and forth when I'm in the chair while I'm at church on Sundays. And those of you, and repetitive behaviors like repeating movie quote phrases. I still do it a lot as a kid, especially right now as an adult. Like, for example, I'll give you guys a movie quote or a TV quote on TV that I repeat or I remember from the screen I see. Don't play dumb, Man Ray. You know that's the tickle belt that Mermaid Man used you on episode 17, as seen in episode 17. That quote is from SpongeBob SquarePants in the episode called Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. I forgot what one would it be, which season, which volume would it be, but when I was a kid, when I was 10 years old, I used to watch SpongeBob a lot, and due to my autism, I would repeat stuff over and over again. Like from TV shows, I repeat quotes over and over again. Like whether it's from a TV show or from a movie or from YouTube, I repeat the same stuff, the same word phrases over and over again. And that's the type of autism spectrum disorder I experienced in my life. I still do it right now as an adult. I'm 20 years old. I still quote phrases from a movie or TV show a lot. Any interesting hobbies or games or activities that kids with autism like to do? Well, for example, when I was a kid with autism, I used to line up the cars, organize them a lot, and I used to lay down on my stomach and get my face and eyes closer to the cars. Like pretend this is the car and pretend I go here. I used to do that a lot as a kid. I'll give you an example so that you'll understand what I mean by repetitive behavior on autism spectrum disorder. Okay, so kids with autism, like me for example, I used to do this with the car. Pretend that this here is a car right here, and I lay down on my stomach like this, and I get my face and eyes closer to the car like this. I also do that with trains a lot. I used to do that as a kid. And pretend, for example, this red truck you see right here, pretend that's a toy car that I have, and pretend I do, and here's an example of a repetitive behavior on the autism spectrum disorder. I just lay down on my front stomach and get my face and the eyes closer to the car, which is the red truck I'm talking about. I look inside the toy car, and that's a repetitive behavior I do, for example. Okay. Okay. And if you guys are wondering what am I doing, I'm walking right now. I'm walking in my residential neighborhood right now. So I'm still with you guys, but I gotta keep my eyes on the surroundings ahead. But I'm still gonna tell you my experience with autism. Those of you I'm pretty sure you guys would recognize something. Kids and adults with autism are super into hobbies, like trains, for example. My favorite was Thomas and Friends. And when I was a kid, I used to play with Thomas and Friends a lot and copy the same things what the movies did. When I was a kid when I was 6 years old and 7 years old, I'm going to tell you a type of my experience with autism when I was 6 and 7. Okay. When I was living in the Roseville Metrotation area in Sac, I would get on my bike routinely and start biking faster and faster. And the reason why I would do that is because my favorite character from Thomas and Friends, Gordon, the big engine, he's colored blue. You know who I'm talking about. He used to boast about how fast he is. And that's because he is faster too, and pretty strong. And because I remember this and watched it a lot as a kid, I started doing the same thing too. Go on my bike and pretend that I'm Gordon, and then I start biking faster and faster than other bikers. So I used to have the same attitude as Gordon. from Thomas and Friends. Like, for example, I just go on my bike and just go biking faster and faster as I can. I want to be faster. My goal here was to be the strongest and the fastest biker than other bikers in town, and that's similar to Gordon. He wanted to be the fastest engine on the Northwestern Railway. Like this. Well, I'm not on my bike, I'm on foot, but pretend I was being like him. I was 6 years old and 7 years old when I intimidated Gordon when I was living in the Roseville Metropolitan area in Sacramento, the north side. Another experience I had with my autism is routine. I like routine. I'm familiar with activities that I do. I don't like doing activities that I'm not familiar with doing. That's not part of the routine. And because of this, I just get upset about it. Okay. Like, for example, my routine is to be in my bedroom and play with my Thomas and Friends trains in my bedroom and keep the train set, lay it out, and don't change it. I wanted to keep that as a routine. But if that routine gets interrupted by something, like if it gets removed, it can really upset me. And that's because I'm on the autism spectrum disorder and because of the fact that I'm at a young age. So I get upset when my routine gets interrupted. And I still do once in a while, but I manage to stay calm and wait until I get my routine back. Kids with autism have a hard time speaking and reading. That's why they needed tutors, and that's something I needed when I was a kid. Every weekday, my mom and dad hired tutors to come over to my house to help me understand what's that, or what is this, or what do the words say. Like, for example, they show me a picture of who is that, like if it's my uncle or my cousin or my aunt, and if they want me to recognize who are those people, they would help me by showing me a picture of those people and tell me who they are. Another example of cards or what color is, like, for example, they taught me about colors, like, what color is this hat? It's blue. And what color is the leaves up in the tree? They're green, for example. And for example, they taught me what color is this truck right there, and it's black. At first, I didn't know what colors are they, but they taught me the colors, so they encouraged me to be good at understanding what colors are they. Like, for example, what color is the sky? It's light blue, but when it's nighttime, it's dark blue. So that's tutoring that kids on the autism spectrum disorder needed, and that's what I experienced as a kid. I even had my tutors supported me in school at a young age. That's also important too, because if you guys are parents and if you're watching this, I encourage you to hire some tutors that would support your child on the autism spectrum disorder. Hire them to go to your kids' schools. This would really help. And another example of a routine that kids kids and adults with autism like routine, especially me. I always like routine. For example, when I was 10 years old, I would just get home after school. This was during the time when I was in 4th grade, 10 years ago. I just get home and finish my homework and After that, I would just get on the computer and play my favorite video games online. I will explain what are the video games that I like later. But yeah, video games online was my routine after homework in school. And that's the routine I always wanted to stick on. But if that routine, for example, gets interrupted by something, it could be really upsetting for kids with autism. Like me, for example. I experienced it before as a kid. I get upset when my routine video game playing would be interrupted. Like, for example, it got interrupted by, let's say, going camping, for example. I don't like camping that much. That's not a routine. I'm not familiar with camping and all that stuff. So when I was a kid, when I get my routine interrupted, I don't just get upset, I just have meltdowns, autism meltdowns. Sometimes tantrums as well. When we went camping with my family and my grandparents, I did not really enjoy camping as much. I just wanted to stay home and play video games on the computer. That was the routine I wanted. So I waited for a while until the camping trip pays off. And then after it paid off, I was happy after that. So I went back to game playing. But that routine got interrupted a bit again. This time it was church camp in Santa Cruz, California. And I didn't like it at all. I got really upset again later when my routine got interrupted after camping with my grandparents and my whole family. So I had this meltdowns when I was at Santa Cruz, and I didn't want to do family activities. I just wanted to be on the computer, but there was nothing there that I liked except for swimming. I like swimming, for example, in the pool, but except for the beach. I'm not a beach person. So I waited until all church camp is over, and then after it was over, I was happy. But then my parents kept asking me if I wanted to go camping with grandma and grandpa, but then I was upset when they keep on trying to push it. But I said no. I stood on my ground and told them I'm not camping anymore. I want my routine. That is the experience with autism I had, for example. So my parents, my whole family, they knew I wouldn't enjoy camping. So they hired my uncle and my aunt to babysit only me while my family went camping with my grandparents, because they knew I wouldn't enjoy the camping trip and I have meltdowns when I'm away from home. And I found out this would be hard for my family and for my grandparents to enjoy camping if I was there, because I'd have tantrums there. Tantrums can also ruin a vacation. So I was happy and relaxed that I didn't go camping again with my grandparents after that, or my family. I'm just happy I got my routine. I was 11 years old when that happened. That is an experience with autism. That's an example of autism spectrum disorder. I always like routine. I didn't like activities that I'm not familiar with, like camping, for example, as a kid. Anyways, guys, before I end this video about my experience with autism, I just like to let you know